Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pathological Lawyer Podcast, episode number 6. Today, I'm going to talk briefly about victim energy, what it is, and sometimes what it is not. Energy is an interesting thing for me. And when I use the term energy, I'm using Bruce Schneider's term energy based on his book, Energy Leadership. And he created the Energy Leadership Index and trains people in energy leadership, and I have that designation. And it's fascinating to me because it represents tools that we can use to assess how we are showing up in the moment and how others might be showing up in the moment. And there are 7 levels of energy on the Energy Leadership Index. Most mere mortals, such as myself, bounce back and forth between energetic level 1 and level 5. So for a quick recap, level 1 is apathy. Level 2 is anger. These are 2 catabolic states of energy, which means generally destructive. Level 3 is resignation, or I sometimes call it begrudging acceptance, which is, well, if that's how it has to be, then I guess I can live with it. Level 4 is concern for others. And level 5 is a state where you see options, both in the good and what might be perceived to be the bad. And I try to be in level 5 if I can help it, looking for options, because if I'm down in level 1 being apathetic, I don't see much. And it's an interesting conversation that we have when we're talking about limiting beliefs, because if we admit that we have limiting beliefs, well, does that mean that we're a victim? And the answer is no. We're normal. All of us have limiting beliefs of some sort. And usually those beliefs were given to us, and I use that word in air quotes, given to us by those who loved us, who taught us, who helped raise us, to protect us, to make us be safe, to make us competitive in the world. But at some point, those beliefs hold us back. And acknowledging that we have limiting beliefs doesn't mean that we're a victim. And it's interesting to me that when we have this conversation, how do we sort out when someone is coming from a level 1 victimhood energetic profile or from some other, usually higher and more productive state of presence? And for me, it's the because, right? When we say, okay, I have these limiting beliefs because. And I think it's reasonable to trace them back to their origin. I have these limiting beliefs because my parents told me this. I have this limiting belief personally that there isn't enough time because that's what my father taught me. A sense of urgency is what keeps you employed, makes you valuable to society, makes you a valuable member of your household. And if you're valuable in that way, you will be rewarded. You will not live in a cardboard box under a freeway overpass. And that becomes a belief designed to keep me safe. And so for me, it's like, okay, I have a limiting belief, doesn't make me a victim, just makes me human. And I'm able to assign the origin of that limiting belief to somebody else. I have that limiting belief because. Okay, no big deal. The issue for me is when we go into level 1 energy, we blame someone else for our limiting belief for no purpose or for no benefit to us, right? And that's kind of the hallmark of being a victim, right? Which is the world is against us. It's conspiring to keep us upset, contained, limited, and we don't take responsibility for that limiting belief. And that's where we start to become lower in our energetic presence. And when we're apathetic or living at the effect of the world, nothing good seems to happen. And so for me, when I'm talking to myself or when I'm talking to a client about limiting beliefs, I want to try to root out that victimhood energy because I don't believe that it's helpful beyond assigning it to the origin of where you picked up that limiting belief. And that's not even a victimhood thing to do that. And for me, a lot of us take pride in the struggles that we've overcome. I know I do, losing essentially 2 mothers by the time I was 9 and having a massive stroke at age 43. But I don't look at those things as things that happened to me. I look at them now with the passage of time as things that happened for me. And when I look at those experiences, I can assign some of the limiting beliefs that I picked up during those incidents, but they're not a drawback. They're not a bug. They're more of a feature of who I am. And it reminds me of this Japanese art, kintsugi, where you take a piece of pottery or a cup or a plate or what have you, and you break it, and it's in a whole bunch of pieces, and then you glue it back together again, usually with melted gold. And when it's melted back together again, it's worth way more than it was as a normal plate or a mug or a cup. It's highly prized, not in spite of the imperfections, but because of them. And so we all have our stuff. We all have our limiting beliefs. We all have our moments where we want to become a victim because it feels safe. And it's generally not safe. It's almost like saying I can avoid my problems by drinking a whole bottle of wine. You may be able to defer those problems, but you certainly don't benefit yourself with respect to those problems by doing that. And so when we look at all of our flaws and our limiting beliefs and our weaknesses and all the things that happen to us, we can look at them and say, the world has conspired against me, and God, I can't believe I'm here. Or we could say, the world has conspired for me, and I am here, and I'm like that broken plate. And I'm way more valuable now because I'm still a whole human being. But I've been pieced together, during my fractures, my cracks, and my mishaps, pieced together with liquid gold. And now the sum of me, not just in spite of my flaws, but because of my flaws, makes me way more valuable. To me, that's a much more positive frame of mind to look at the things that have happened, we think, to us, instead of trying to blame and make ourselves feel guilty that we have this baggage. It's like, oh, I'm just a broken plate that's been glued together with gold, and I'm way more valuable because of it. Something to think about. Take care.